Joining me now from what appears to be an office, and I have no idea what state he's in. He's got an LA Rams playbook right to his right. He had 12 years in the NFL out of the College of University of Connecticut. It's where he went for higher learning. He was born and raised in Connecticut. He played for the Lions, the Texans, the Colts, Tampa, the Lions again. Then this past year, he was on the Rams in the preseason before getting cut and then calling it a career. He is one of my favorite teammates I've ever had. Mostly because he came in and won 2 games where we almost won 0-16, but he saved the day. Not that he wasn't a part of one of those in the past. He's a great man, well revered by everybody who's ever played with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Orlovsky. That boy Dan. How are you, buddy?
Give myself a round of applause.
I think you deserve it. Your right string is kind of up over your shoulder right now. It's kind of a, yeah. What is that hoodie you're wearing right there? Wasahikon?
Wissahickon. I live in Philly. My wife's from Philadelphia, so we live in Philly now. And this is my wife's little cousin's like hockey team. So Wissahickon is there. It's kind of like the traditional kind of suburb of Philly.
That's very cute. You have 45 kids, right? How many kids do you have?
I have 4, so the first number was right, but 4 or 45 feels the same.
Okay, so you've played in 5 different locations. You're a journeyman backup quarterback who's had plenty of time on the field making plays. You've lived this incredible career. Which city was your favorite to live in?
Ooh.
Yep, right off the gate.
I lived in cool spots, but so Tampa was Detroit. My first go around was not a great time because economic recession and we were really bad, so it was like a double whammy. Houston was way too hot for me and too much concrete. Tampa I liked, but still too hot. I always tell people Indy was the closest thing to like the traditional East Coast for me, with 4 seasons, dealing with some weather and fall and whatnot. So, and then the people out there are just so cool. So Indy was like, if I had to pick one place to go raise a family to, I'd go to Carmel, Indiana and set up shop for sure.
That's a really good idea. I mean, I think that's just a good answer because 50% of my listeners are in Indiana. So that was a good answer right there. Win them over early, Dan. Win them over early. Jesus Christ. All right, let's talk about those Detroit years.
Yeah, let's.
Okay. So you've never been asked about this before, so I'm going to ask about it. There was a football team that went 16-0 and then went on perfect. They're the 1972 Dolphins. Every single year that a team is undefeated, they're always referenced and chit-chatted about. And every time an undefeated team loses, like the Chiefs just did, they come out of the woodwork, peacocking around how they're still the most undefeated team in history, blah, 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 blah. We get it, all right? We're all sick of hearing from them. Now, on the flip side, it seems as if the Cleveland Browns are always in the running to be the next team that's completely defeated. And there's only been one team in history that has done that, and you happen to be a part of it. And let's quickly just go ahead and skip on through how that particular year came to be and how miserable of a fucking office that had to be on a daily basis.
I mean, there's so many different parts of the story that, like, as we're years and years removed away, you have to be able to kind of chuckle about it. Like,
yes,
coming off a decent year where, like, indecent in regards to at the times for the Detroit Lions, but we started the previous year 6-2 and then fell apart and ended up going 7-9, but still like a decent year after we went 2-14 and 3-13 in previous years. So, like, there was a little optimism, and then we went into the preseason and went 4-0 in the preseason. And not only did we go like,
let's go.
Not only did we go 4-0, but I remember like we smoked teams. And then the third preseason game, we played at Cincinnati. We went up 21-0 with like 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. And it was like, we're going to be really good this year. And then second play of the season, we're down in Atlanta. Second play of the season, first play of Matt Ryan's career, there was an 82-yard touchdown pass, and I just remember being like, all right. That didn't happen in the preseason. And then there was just like debacle after debacle. We started 0-4. We put our starter Kitna on IR. We had coaches in team meetings. Like, our team meetings went from like your traditional team meeting So we would sit in the team meeting and watch, the whole team would watch the offensive tape. And on every single play, the player had to say, no, the offensive coach had to say what the player was coached to do. And then the player had to respond why they didn't do what the coach did. Dude, we did that for like 3 weeks. Team meetings would be 5 hours long. It was just, and then obviously it started to steamroll or snowball, however you want to call it. And then, dude, going to work, think about it, in Detroit, when, again, we were in an economic recession, the weather starts to turn real fast up there. The city wasn't great, you know, to be in that time. And we're 0-9, 0-10, and 11. It's 12 degrees outside. And you're like, what is my life right now? You know? And so you're just trying to survive. I was young still, so I was just trying to hang on and be like, oh my gosh, this is the NFL, you know, like, so it wasn't fun. But as I look back on it now, so far removed, I laugh about it because I was like, what a debacle.
Dude, that had to be, because this is your dream. You make it to the NFL. You've worked your whole life playing a game you love. Here we are, right in the middle of the NFL. The dream has come true, and then it starts off so hot, preseason, training camp. We're going to be good. We're going to be good. And then whammy, a hammer of reality hits you. And then the coaches covering their ass every team meeting is my favorite part of that whole story.
Dude, Pat, we had him. I remember we played at San Francisco, and this is when Kitna was playing quarterback for us, and he was a veteran and good friend of mine, but he's playing quarterback with us, and it's like he's drop backs, no one's open, he scrambles, and he does something. You know, quarterbacks, we're not great scramblers, most of us at least. He scrambles and kind of like, I guess if you watch the film, there was a different avenue that he could potentially have made and gained another 3 yards, and they were like, well, John, why did you make your cut here? And John was like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to scramble and get a bad play into a decent play and get a couple positive yards. And I remember the running back coach was like, well, you should put his foot in the ground and kind of see this hole and cut. And Kitten was like, you guys want me to, you know, during individual and practice, go meet with the running backs now instead of the quarterbacks? What are you talking about? And that's when I was just like, oh my gosh, like, we've got the running back coach yelling at the quarterback for not scrambling well enough. So it was a bad situation, especially for a young guy sitting there like, what is going on? So
that is so beautiful. I'm happy. You and I almost experienced an 0-16, another 0-16 season, and you came in and saved the day for us. And I'll never forget when you showed up, because we added you when, like week 5 or 6, I feel like. We added you.
Yeah, I mean, I was in camp with you guys, but then with the injury with Peyton, they didn't know what they were going to do. So I came back like, I think week 3 or 4, something around there.
You come back, and me and Vinatieri are sitting there, and we've been watching the shit show from the front row, you know, like, God damn, this is bad. We didn't know Peyton was going to have surgery. We had no idea that was going to happen. So I didn't know I was going to be punting 45 times a game. I had no clue. Nobody gave me a heads up in preseason, like, hey, you should train right now. Peyton's about dead. So then we're watching this whole shit show happen with Kerry Collins, where he gets he had a 14-week concussion, which is one of the biggest concussions in history. He got paid $4 million to come out of it. Got paid $4 million. He's out. So me and Vinny are sitting there like, this fucking sucks. And then the crowd started to chant like, suck for luck and all this shit. And we're like, this might happen. They don't even know it. And then we bring you in, and me and Vinny are like, oh, great. We bring in a guy from the 0-16 team now to fucking lead our team. And then we meet you, and you were like one of the most driven dudes on our team. And it was like, it was your mission not to have another 0-16 season, and you like saved the season for us. So I'm very thankful that I'm not a part of an 0-16 team because of you.
You were one of my main motivating factors, Pat, to make sure that you did not have to experience that.
My life's a lot different. Actually, my stand-up is probably better if I'm on an 0-16 team, just for future reference.
Could have given you more material.
Now, after our first win, the Houston Texans, during that game, it was late in the year. And I was pretty chirpy on the sideline. I like to talk to everybody. I talk to offense. I talk to defense.
Yeah.
You reminded me earlier today of a conversation we had during that game, which I did not recall, but I love it so much. So if you could retell it now that we're on the air, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's this. I think it was the second of last week of the season, if I'm correct. It was a Thursday night game, and we were playing in Indy against Houston. And Houston was like the 3 or 4 seed in the playoffs. They were going to the playoffs. The game didn't really necessarily matter for them if they were in or out. It had something to do with seeding. And we were playing them at home. And, you know, I think there was a storyline of, is Reggie going to be back in Indy the following year? As close to the season, he had never experienced kind of a season like that. And we took the lead. I threw a touchdown pass to Reggie late in the fourth quarter with like a minute left. And I just remember being on the sidelines with you. And this was still like my 6th or 7th year in the league. So still kind of in the middle. I didn't know how long I was going to play, whatever. So I throw this touchdown pass to Reggie late. We take the lead. And I just remember being on the sideline with you being like, dude, if we win this game, you are so paid. Yeah. And I was like, no doubt. Like, if we win, hang on a win, I'm going to get so much money in free agency because I was on a 1-year deal. I was like, we're so paid. Playoff team, Thursday night game winner to Reggie. I'm so paid. We win the game, and I'm like, that was one of the first things in my head. I was like, this is so good timing. And I remember getting into free agency, March coming around, my agent calling me. He's like, all right, we've got a 2-year deal for $3 million to Tampa. And I was like, that is not so paid. I just remember my agent being like, all right, it's not financially better. So you were super optimistic in the moment, but that so paid never happened off that game.
Hey, listen, $3 million is an incredible amount of money. It's all.
No, it is. But when I was like in that moment, when you were like, dude, you're so paid, I had different numbers in my head.
We were such a bad football team, and the fact that you went out there and won, I thought it would really resonate throughout the contract. It did not, apparently.
It should have. Someone should have grabbed onto that.
I'm just thinking of a younger me, like real life walking over to you, like in my head, I'm so thankful that I'm not a part of an 0-16 team. And I'm like, man, dude, good for you, man. Like everything's going to work out for you. It's all going to work out for me now too. Like this is such a cool moment.
It was a great moment. It was a great moment. It made the night that much better.
I apologize. So you were actually, at that moment, you were our 3rd string quarterback on the year we went 2-14. So that's got to feel pretty bad. I was the 4th string quarterback. Actually, I guess you were 4th string. I was 5th string because Peyton's technically 1st, then Kerry Collins, then Curtis Painter, then you, then me.
Yeah.
So you've got a chance to back up Peyton Manning. I guess you could actually say that you were one of Peyton Manning's backups. Did you ever get to meet him or anything like that year? Was he around or was he not?
Yeah, he was around. I mean, he was, how Peyton is. He's so private about a lot of stuff too. So he was around and would be a part of stuff here and there. I remember, it's a funny story. So this was like in the time when no one knew what was going on, really. We were in the preseason and no one knew, like, was Peyton going to be out for like 2 weeks or was Peyton going to be out for a year type thing? So I was kind of, like I said, still young, minding my business, whatever. And I had heard rumors of like, man, Peyton was going to throw or people wanted to see him throw or this and that. So it's the night before a preseason game. And, when you go to the preseason games or you go to your hotel for games, they kind of set up those separate boardrooms that you could have your meetings in. So I'm in the quarterback room and I'm sitting there with the laptop watching tape night before the game. And I get a knock on the door. I'm by myself in there, knock on the door. And I turn back and it's Peyton. He pops his head in. He's like, hey, man. I'm like, what's up? And I've got my notebooks with me. And he's like, you mind if I watch some film? And I'm like, yeah, totally. Do what you want, bud.
Hey, your room. If you want this room, your room.
Yeah, so I grab my stuff and I just, go. They have rows of seats for all the players, obviously, as you know. So I go back and I sit in the front row and I'm sitting there with my laptop or my notebook and I start taking notes. He walks in, sits down to the laptop, and like 10 seconds later turns around and goes, alone. And that was it. I mean, he just looked at me and goes, alone. And I was like, yep, gotcha, my fault. And I folded up my stuff and I was like, I didn't say anything. I just literally, I might have pooped my pants and don't know. Folded up my notebooks, my papers, and I dipped. And I never talked to him about it then ever since or anything like that. I was just like, gotcha, yeah, my fault.
Have you ever talked to him since?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit, and I ended up down in Tampa playing against them and whatnot. We never talked about that story, but I asked him really quickly. I was like, Peyton, what, like that day when you kicked me out, like what were you watching? He just gave me like, that smirk, and he was like, wouldn't you like to know? So I don't know. I have no idea.
I would like to know what the fuck.
Yeah.
Like who knows?
I asked the question, Peyton, so give me the answer. I we've never gotten into detail about it. So
You were with the Rams for an off season. Sean
yeah.
McVay, is he going to be having sex with a A-list actress in the very near future? Is he just living the highest of high lives out there, or what?
I mean, he's the saying striking while the iron is hot is he's taking it to heart. So from what I know, he's got a girlfriend. From what I know, the girlfriend is not sore on the eyes at all.
Of course, he's the head coach of the LA Rams, and he's doing very,
yeah, he's
very
a good-looking dude. Funny story, another good funny story. So we're in preseason, we're on a road game, and we've got this undrafted receiver trying to make the team. I mean, he's dying on the practice field daily trying to make the team. We're at team snack that night, and this rumor circulates that the kid made a pass at McVay's girlfriend on the elevator. And so I guess, yeah. So I guess like he walks into the elevator and she's standing there. There's a couple guys with him and then a strength coach. And like, I guess he goes to her like, hey, so what are you doing here tonight? Or like, what are you in town for the night? And the strength coach is in the background, like trying to get his attention. Like, don't do that. Yeah. Needless to say, the kid didn't make the team, but I guess word got around and McVay just kind of laughed at it, because McVay, I mean, he's young, so he kind of gets it, so, dude, he's in a good place right now. I mean, he's in an advantageous situation.
They're doing really well. Did they expect to do that well? Because Wade Phillips is a whole nother animal when it comes to bringing a defense in. But did the Rams know that they had the potential to be a great football team? And there's no way that they were thinking, let's be great. They were just like, hey, let's just get along here. Let's build up a fan base in L.A. The Chargers are going to come and shit all down their leg here in Los Angeles. There's no way they're like, hey, let's do well with this young head coach, brand new, everything like that. There's no way that was the mindset.
Well, I mean, I think everyone, they knew and everyone knew, listen, we got a good defense, right? Because they've had all those built up draft picks and then Wade comes in and everywhere Wade goes, there's pretty good defense. So I think they had that. And then I think there's the variable, like they brought in some talent around Jared Goff, the quarterback. There was just like this unknown, like sometimes naive works out for where like there's just a little bit of like, well, we got a new head coach who's super young and everyone thinks they're super young. So I don't know, and I think there's that part of it that kind of like, well, we don't even know how to lose. So it doesn't mean we don't know how to win type thing, So I don't know if they expected to be playing at the level that they are, especially scoring some points wise. But like everyone was asking me about McVay and camp. And I was like, dude, this dude is special. Like I've been around a lot of coaches. He coaches football and calls plays. I mean, I related him to like Gary Kubiak when I was in Houston with Kubiak. Like he would just call plays and I'd be like, dude, how does he call that play right there? And it'd be a 50-yard touchdown. And then Sean's got that feel where like some guys are just good play, like ridiculously good play callers. So they've got some talent. They're young. I think it's just like the young thing that helps them too is like, well, I don't know, we're just playing a football game, and we'll see if we win type.
Now, when it comes, you've been around a lot of offenses, a lot of successful ones, a lot of failing ones. Is timing of play calling the biggest differentiator between a team being good and great?
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, like if you've got a play caller that one can call plays and good rhythm and like all coaches go into game plans with these, 18 by 18 inches game plans and then they stink at calling plays. So they run, a tenth of the plays. So all those plays and that creativity doesn't matter. But when you get those coaches that can call plays and get in rhythm and then all of a sudden you're going on 8-play, 9-play, 10-play drives, that allows them to call all those kind of cool plays, those trick plays, those gadget plays. But calling them at the right times, if you get a guy who can do it at the right, like call cool plays and good plays at the right times, it's like almost like poetry to watch because dude, like if you call a perfect example is like there's another guy, Jim Bob Cooter, which again, name is a whole nother story.
Bob Cooter from Tennessee, Peyton Manning.
Get it in, but like when he would call screens, like those wide receiver screens against pressure, and when you call them against blitzes, it's like you sit there on the sideline and just you throw up the hands and go, "Here we go, boys," because it's just, how did you call that screen against that pressure type stuff? Sean's got that. Like those play callers that can call screens versus pressures or runs versus, like blitz or run stopping pressures. They just get those feels where it's like, I'm going to call this right now, and they dial it up against the right defense. That's what helps.
What's your favorite play?
Ooh, my favorite play is like 4 verticals out of 2x2 formation. But
my dick! I like that.
I want Calvin or Andre on the outside,
Yeah, of course. Randy Moss, maybe.
Pierre, somebody.
We have John Gruden with us real quick. John, what is your favorite play?
I'm a little surprised you didn't go with Spider 2 wide banana, man.
Yeah, that's obviously our favorite here at Barstool Heartland. That's neither here nor there. Dan, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Man, the Browns. I think the Browns so well. No, if I had to pick one team, I mean, I'm not going to say Kansas City. I'm not going to say New England. Dun, dun, dun. Jeez. I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path right now. I'm going to say, because of the turmoil that they're going through, I'll say Pittsburgh.
Okay. Adversity brings championships. That's what they say. It's like reality TV.
Write it down.
Hey, John, you like that pick or not?
I'm still a Buccaneers guy at heart, so I'm either going to go with them or Oakland, man.
Oakland.
All right. Hey, Orlovsky, I appreciate you so much for joining me. You can follow along Dan Orlovsky on social media at
I think my Twitter's Dan Orlovsky.
All right, forget it. Don't follow him. Honestly, don't. He's got 72 kids. He doesn't have time for social media.
Dan Orlovsky 7, maybe. D Orlovsky 7 is my Twitter, something like that.
Great. Well, Dan, incredible career. You're a journeyman. You're intelligent. You're funny. Some of the most hilarious stories I've ever heard in my life right there. I very much appreciate you for joining me, but I have to go on and do this show.
Later, bud.
Alone.
Appreciate you having me.
So if you could please get the fuck out of here, which is what Peyton Manning said to you, that'd be fantastic.
Alone. Later.
Dan, you're the man. I appreciate you, buddy.
Later.